So, bass in techno. If you remember from the defining features, one of the main things about techno that makes techno techno is the repetition, and this extends to the bass line too. It's extremely common to repeat the bass loop or repeat the bass line every half a bar, so it's a very looped, a very repeated sort of idea. Let me give you an example, and then I'll break down how bass lines typically sound and how they're typically made. Notice how it's repeating every half a bar. It's the same idea over and over again. You may program a few variations, a few bits of automation or changes throughout the track, but it is fundamentally the same idea over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, and that's techno. And so how do the bass lines typically sound in this particular genre? I'll give you a few more examples later on in this tutorial and of course later on throughout the course as well, but let me first of all explain in words how they sound and how they're typically made. The main thing is they're very, very dark, or you might say low passed, or another way of looking at it, it's pretty much only low frequencies in the bass line. You don't hear all this high frequency stuff that you may hear in, say, dubstep. Notice how the kick and bass take up the low frequency information in the mix, and then the percussion, sound effects and additional one-shots take up that mid and high frequency space in the mix. And what this allows you to do as a DJ, remember techno is a DJ focused genre, what this allows you to do as a DJ is easily split the track up into these two different components, the kick and bass and then everything else, simply using a filter. And then once the track is split up into these two different components, it's nice and easy as a DJ to mix two tracks together. What you could do, say, is play the first track and then introduce just the percussion from the second, and then when the time is right, switch the bass line from the first track to the second, and you can do that because the track is so easy to split. And then what sort of bass line do you choose in techno? How do you typically make it? And techno is an interesting one, and I really like it because the bass line doesn't have to be tonal, it doesn't have to be rhythmic, it doesn't have to be harmonic, it doesn't have to even be clean. It can just be a bit of bass noise, a bit of random bass, something that you found and chopped up or ran through a reverb or manipulated, distorted, whatever it is, it literally doesn't matter. It just has to be something looped over, say, half a bar or maybe a bar. In fact, some of the best techno bass lines ever were generated completely by accident, serendipitously you might say, when they were playing around with random bits of analog gear, maybe a drum machine, maybe a bass line, maybe just a random bit of something. They were playing around with sound, and then occasionally this interesting bit of bass something popped out, and then they chopped that bit of bass something out, looped it, and there you go. That is your techno bass line. A lot of the techno pioneers didn't even know how the drum machines and bass line synths worked. They just twiddle around with the parameters, twiddle around with the knobs until something cool came out, and then there you go, you've got your bit of something cool, loop it, and that is your techno bass line. Let me give you a few more examples too, just to give you a flavour of how techno bass lines typically sound. In this one, the bass line's providing a little bit of rhythm, granted a simple rhythm, but it is providing a bit of rhythm, and it's also a lot cleaner. Remember, it doesn't have to be a rumbly mess. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. It can be clean if you want that sort of sound in your track. Nice and repetitive, nice and techno. And another example. Again, it's a little bit of chopped up bass loop from a sample pack I made. I found a little bit of that bass loop I liked, looped it, and there you go, that's it. Finally though, I will give you a few more examples of the more rumbly style of bass loop, because in lots of parts of techno, the bass does get pretty rumbly, and that's a part of the art in this particular genre. So I'll go ahead and choose a few of those bass lines from a pretty popular sample pack. And there you go. That is everything you need to know about bass lines in techno. Thanks for watching.